Hey there. Today we're going to learn how to find the area of a rectangle or of a square by using a formula that we're going to learn in just a few moments. And the area simply refers to the amount of space that a flat or two-dimensional object takes up. So I'm talking about the space that's inside of the lines of this rectangle. We want to know what that space is equal to. And in order to find the area of this rectangle, I need to know two pieces of information. I need to know what the rectangle's length and what the rectangle's width is. And the length and the width simply refer to the measure of the sides of the rectangle at any point that is met. So I could say that this is the length and this is the width. Or at this point, I could say that this is the length and this is the width. But basically, I'm choosing any two lines that meet at one point, and I'm measuring those two lines. And typically, those measurements will be given to you. So in this case, we might say that this length is 4, and this length is 3. And when the length and width are given to you, it'll typically be given to you with a unit of measurement. And it might be any unit of measurement that we have. It could be inches, it could be miles, it could be meters, it could be centimeters, any unit of length that we use. In this case, we'll say that these are feet. So this is a rectangle that's 4 feet by 3 feet. And one way that we could calculate the area of this rectangle is to divide each of the length and the width up into 1 foot sections. So if this is 4 feet, I would divide it into 4 sections, 4 1-foot sections. And if this is 3 feet, I could divide this into 3 1-foot sections. And if I continued on with those lines across the area or across the space on my rectangle, I end up making kind of a grid. And using that grid, I could calculate what the area of this rectangle is. I could simply count up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 squares. So I would say that the area is equal to 12. The other way that I could find 12 is by using the area formula, which is area is equal to length times width. And often you'll see length written as a cursive letter L and a W together like that. So in this case, the length was 4 and the width was 3, so I just multiplied 4 times 3 to give me 12. Now we don't want to just leave 12 by itself. We do have feet as well. And since I can't really multiply feet times feet, like I multiplied 4 times 3, I need to write that unit a little differently than I would write it if I was just writing the length or the width of one side. I'm instead going to write it as feet with a little exponent of 2. So I would say 12 feet to the second power. But there's another way that I can read that as well. I would read that as 12 feet squared or 12 squared feet. And where that squared terminology comes from is it's referring to one of these squares that make up the entire area. So if I pulled just one of those square units out, that's a 1 foot by 1 foot square, or 1 squared foot, that I need 12 of in order to come up with my area of 12 squared feet. And we can have several different squares. We could have square miles, we could have square inches, squared meters, whatever unit we're using to find our area. Let's try another example. This time we'll do 17 inches and a width of 12 inches. Now again, all I need to do in order to find my area is use my area formula, which is length times width. In this case, I wouldn't want to cut it into 17 17 spaces up there and 12 spaces here, and then count up all the different squares that are going to be in the middle. In this case, it would just be easier to use my formula of length times width. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to do 17 times 12. 2 times 7 is 14. 1 times 2 is 2, plus 1 is 3. Bring a 0 for your placeholder. 1 times 7 is 7, and 1 times 1 is 1. And when I add those together, I come up with 204 as my area. So area would be equal to 204. And again, I don't want to just leave my units out. I need to include them. So I would say it's 204 inches to the second power, or 204 square inches. And what that means is that if I had 204 square inches, I could fill the entire space of that area with those squared inches. So, well, what happens if I have a rectangle that gives me the area and wants me to find one of the sides, either the length or the width? So let's say that in this case, the area of this rectangle is equal to 24 centimeters squared, and the width is equal to 8 centimeters squared. Oh, that would just be 8 centimeters, sorry. And they want to know what the length is. Well, I have a formula that can help me, so I can kind of plug in the numbers that I have into that formula and see if I can't come up with an answer. So I could say that my area is equal to 24, and I know that 24 is equal to length times width. If I know that my width is 8, it's really just 24 is equal to 8 times L. And the way that I would find L is, I would do the opposite of multiplication. I would divide. So I'm going to divide 8 into 24. And that is a basic fact. 8 goes into 24 3 times. So I would say that 8 times 3 is equal to 24. So the length must be equal to 3. And again, it would be 3 centimeters in this case. So you can find missing side lengths, or you can find the area by using the formula for area, which is length times width.